One fintech company, 967,000 records leaked. Email addresses, names, phone numbers, physical addresses. And here's the scary part. 40% of fintech companies still have security gaps, with email being the most exploited one. So, to help you avoid becoming the latest headline, in the next 2 minutes, I'll walk you through the biggest email risks that fintech businesses face today. And if you stick around until the end, I'll also show you a 9-layer security framework that your organization can use to prevent attacks, protect sensitive data, and stay audit ready. Plus, a free checklist to help you implement it. Hello, and welcome to Mailtrap videos, where we explore the world of emails. Before we dive into the risks and how to fight them, let's first look at what drives them in the first place. Because exposure in fintech is rarely random. It's the result of 2 distinct factors. The first is external pressure. Attackers impersonating your brand, targeting employee accounts, or manipulating email conversations to steal money or data. The second is internal vulnerability. Gaps like misconfigurations, overly broad permissions, or processes that rely too much on people being careful. And this distinction matters, because different root causes trigger different audit questions. If an issue comes from an external attack, auditors look at whether your security systems detected or blocked it. If it comes from internal activity, they focus on who had access to sensitive data and whether your security policies were properly enforced. So with that in mind, here's a quick breakdown of the most common internal and external risks keeping fintech CEOs awake at night. The first risk on our list is business email compromise, also known as BEC. BEC breaches happen when attackers gain access to real employee email accounts, usually through phishing or stolen credentials. Once inside, they quietly monitor conversations and eventually send messages that look completely legitimate, often to redirect payments or to request sensitive data. The second external risk is domain spoofing. And in contrast to BEC, to pull off domain spoofing, attackers don't need access to your systems or accounts. They simply impersonate your brand. This includes sending emails that appear to come from your company, as well as copying your domain, branding, and layout to trick recipients into sharing credentials or financial information. The third and final external email security risk on our list is account compromise, during which attackers gain direct access to employee email accounts and operate from inside the organization. From there, they set up forwarding rules or send fraudulent emails that blend seamlessly into normal business communication. Okay, so those are the external risks, but what about the ones that come from within the organization? Well, there are 3 common ones that fall into that category. If you want to take a shot at guessing them, I've left a quick quiz in the description. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out our upcoming video on GDPR, where we'll break down how fintech teams can automate compliance and stay in line with evolving regulations. Now, back to the list. First up is data leakage. Unlike the attacks that we discussed earlier, this one often happens by accident, since in fintech, email is frequently used to share things like transaction reports, customer lists, or even KYC documents. Still, a single wrong recipient or mistyped email address can expose sensitive financial information and quickly turn into a reportable breach under regulations like GDPR. Next up, we have unencrypted data in transit. Here, the problem isn't who receives the email, but how the data is transmitted. And it happens when sensitive financial information is sent through email without encryption to protect it along the way, something that PCI DSS strictly prohibits for cardholder data. Lastly, we have insider exposure, which, despite the name, doesn't always involve malicious employees. More often it happens when sensitive financial data is shared through email simply because it feels like the fastest way to get something done. Yeah. But once that data enters systems like email, it increases the risk of exposure and it expands your compliance scope. Alright, lean in. Here's something interesting that you should know. If you look closely, every risk that we discussed so far exists because of a specific security control is missing. Spoofed emails happen when authentication isn't enforced, account takeovers occur when identity protection is weak. Data leaks are found when messages aren't inspected before leaving your system. And that's exactly what the framework that I came up with is designed to fix. I like to call this framework the 9-layer email security stack. Like the 7-island salad dressing, but safer. And you can think of it as a set of security controls working together, each one closing a gap that attackers tend to look for. Here's how it works. First, you set up authentication. This is where you configure SPF, DKIM, and DMARC for every domain that sends email on behalf of your company. SPF will tell receiving servers which emails are allowed to send email for your domain. DKIM will add a cryptographic signature that proves that the message hasn't been altered. And DMARC will tie everything together by telling inbox providers what to do if authentication fails. Next, you make sure your emails are protected in transit. This means enforcing TLS 1.2 or higher for all outgoing connections, so that messages are encrypted between servers. For sensitive communications, like account confirmations or financial notifications, you may also want to encrypt the message content itself. And when it comes to encryption keys, these will need to be handled centrally through a secure key management system, or HSM. After that comes the prevention of accidental data leaks. For this layer, you set up data loss prevention rules that automatically scan outgoing emails for sensitive information. This could include card numbers, IBANs, account identifiers, or customer records. This way, if any of that information appears in the message, the system can stop it before it ever leaves your organization. From there, your next step is to protect your employees from incoming threats, usually with a secure email gateway. Once this is set up, it will analyze inbound emails for phishing attempts, malicious links, and suspicious attachments before they ever reach your team. And if you go for a more advanced system, it might even be able to detect BEC patterns, rewrite suspicious links, and scan messages in real time. Next, to reduce the risk even further, you should also limit how much sensitive data you send through email in the first place. Many fintech platforms do this using tokenization. So instead of including full card numbers or financial identifiers in messages, you can replace sensitive values with temporary tokens that only your internal systems can decode. Of course, you'll also want to strengthen identity protection by requiring multi-factor authentication for all email access. And on top of that, don't forget to limit permissions using role-based access controls and consider conditional access policies that restrict logins based on device health, location, or network risk. Now, as we know very well by now, even strong defenses won't stop everything. That's why monitoring will be another essential element. So, to enable proper monitoring, make sure to centralize your email logs and integrate them with an SIEM or a security monitoring platform. This will help detect suspicious patterns like unusual logins, forwarding rules, or abnormal sending behavior, while automated workflows will speed up response. Also, make sure your email environment supports compliance and auditing by enabling email archiving and compliance logging so that every message activity is recorded. Along with that, you'll also need to store immutable logs, maintain clear retention policies, and ensure records can be quickly retrieved during audits, as only this way can your audit trail show exactly what happened. Finally, opt for an email platform that supports all of the mentioned controls, as the right one will make it much easier to implement authentication, encryption, monitoring, and compliance safeguards. Mailtrap, for example, includes enterprise-grade security features like TLS enforcement, granular access controls, and detailed audit logs that help meet strict regulatory requirements. The platform is also ISO 27001 certified, SOC2 compliant, and GDPR compliant, with 24/7 expert support that understands fintech compliance challenges. On top of that, Mailtrap provides high deliverability rates with dedicated IPs and automatic IP warm-up, so you can ensure critical emails like one-time passwords and transaction confirmations reach customers reliably. And with separate sending streams, it allows you to isolate your transactional emails from marketing campaigns, protecting your sender reputation and maintaining PCI compliance. And that's a wrap for today. As one last tip, I want to remind you to avoid trying to implement the entire framework at once. Instead, prioritize your biggest risks and build incrementally. This way, you'll make steady progress while keeping your systems secure and your team productive. To help you out, I've put together a complete implementation checklist covering all 9 layers. You can grab it for free using the link in the description. Want to see what effective email workflows look like in fintech? For your next watch, check out our video on email automation flows, where we cover 5 essential sequences for onboarding, KYC communication, and reducing churn. We'll see you there.